All right, this is the June 5th Policy Review Committee meeting, and we have maybe 3 items to discuss tonight. Probably won't finish them, but we'll have a go at it. I'm starting with comments that we got from a resident regarding the appointment and reappointment policy that was adopted by the Board of Selectmen on January 26th of this year. We have read the comments, discussed them with Ted Krasinski, and the view of the Board of Selectmen is that the board appreciates the diverse opinions and backgrounds of its board members, and that the policy, the way it is written, covers the views of this resident and encompasses his concerns. So there will be no further changes to this policy as it stands right now. Anyone with any further comments may feel free to address them to this board or to the Board of Selectmen directly. Okay. Now, on the dishonored checks policy, I have a few changes to that I picked up in the last month after talking with Michelle Lumley, the town treasurer. And just to be sporting, I made you copies.
Ooh.
Gotcha.
Thank you. Thank you.
I just did the first page. I didn't bother to do the signature page, because the cast of characters never changes. One of the things that the treasurer wanted was that the time frame of 5 days that is mentioned in the notice of dishonor be changed to 10 days. She did not feel that the 5 days was really adequate.
Yeah, I think we discussed that too, didn't we?
Right. And it is not in the state regulations, so the town can change it as they see fit. So we'll recommend to the Board of Selectmen that they change the 5 days to 10 days, and if they agree to that, we need to change the exhibit, the notice of dishonor, the sample document, because the one that we have right now for a sample says 5 days. So I'm sure Michelle can give us a new one with 10 days. And the other question that we had the last time we met was that we had, the second paragraph on this starts out saying a personal check that's less than $2,500
Yep.
that comes back from a bank for insufficient funds, and it goes on. But the question that's left open here is, what if the check is more than $2,500? So in talking to the treasurer, she said if the check is $2,500 or more, and any business check, if it bounces, it does not go through the third-party collection process. It goes right from the bank back to the treasurer, and she deals with it.
Do either one of those get redeposited a second time, or does it come directly back?
On the checks that are more than $2,500?
Yeah. You know how usually if you
Yeah.
bounce a check, they try it again? On a business check, would they do that, or?
Yeah, if
I
they
guess
have,
that would be a bank's policy,
Right.
wouldn't it? Yeah.
But that's really
and
not.
if they have a stamp on them saying that it's insufficient funds, then I wouldn't think you'd be able to redeposit it
A bank usually does try a second time,
Before they stamp it.
right?
before they stamp it. Okay. So, I don't know that it's necessary or particularly appropriate where this is an Acton policy to get into
Right.
what the bank's
Right.
process is.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, I didn't know if the guy under $2,500 got a second chance of covering it before the guy over $2,500 didn't, but again, that would be a bank policy. I wouldn't care.
Well, they probably get it, if you're under $2,500, this third-party agency does 3 tries at it.
Right.
Am I understanding your point?
I think I was just kind of thinking out loud.
That's okay.
So does this is the 25, the under 2,500
Right.
goes to the collection agency.
Yep.
Over 2,500 goes to the treasurer. What does she do with it?
Well, anything that we have listed
Okay.
further on
Okay.
would apply. And I think in some cases, in talking with her and the town clerk, sometimes they'll make phone calls to people, before getting into canceling and suspending licenses and confiscating plates and the rest of it on here. I mean, they don't want to have this kind of information go to the sheriff's office if they haven't made every attempt.
Sure.
But do they legally have to? No, but it makes sense to. The other thing that we added to this was, the question arose the last time, so how long does somebody stay on this bad checks list that's posted on the wall in the town clerk's office? So,
4 years.
we started debating this the last time with it.
I had 5 years
Elaine
on mine.
wanted 5 or more.
And you wanted life or something?
I think Elaine wanted life.
She wanted, no.
So nothing is definite here, it's a draft, and of course, the Board of Selectmen will change it again if they don't like our recommendation, but I think, at least my view is, if you've bounced a check 2 times in two years, then you go on the bad checklist for 4 years, until you get the idea that you need to manage your money better. But that's my opinion. Any changes?
No.
Can we change that to which?
Where are we?
Salem?
Now we're back to grammar here. What do you want to change?
That to which? A
Which?
check which is
That.
dishonored. The first one. A personal
Is that
check for
correct,
less than
grammar?
$2,500, which is dishonored by a bank.
Jeez.
You don't have to, it's just me and that.
No, grammar was never my great forte, so,
Which?
okay. And the do not accept checks, according to my grammar book, should be in either italics or quotes, not underlined. According to my Funkenstrunk book.
Why italics? I would say quotes, but I was surprised they say italics too.
Okay.
Well, no, that's okay. I'm easy. I
like-
was just
you
wondering
like
why the
quotes?
book would say that.
All right, quotes it is. We're easy here.
I don't think there's supposed to be a comma there.
Where?
After dishonored personal checks for $2,500 or more, and all business checks are direct.
That's
I mean,
right, because
a
it's related.
continuance, Yeah.
You're right. Take that up.
There's another one under 3 times. Will collect the check 3 times, comma, and will.
Brought our picky hat with us today, didn't we?
Listen, this is not an amateur operation here, you know?
All right. How about the one after fee and notice of dishonor?
What paragraph are you on?
The notice of dishonor.
Should be one after costs,
Yes.
Total charge, a return check fee.
comma, plus
Plus
mailing
mailing
costs,
costs.
comma, for each returned check.
I thought you wanted to take one out.
I do. I want to take the one after fee out and put one in after costs. I can go either way.
You can take one out of notice too, really. If payment has not been received within the time specified in the notice, the matter will be reopened.
Reported.
Reported.
You think after notice, the comma should be deleted?
better with it in, actually.
Do you? Okay. Okay, then.
The only other thing that I changed, under motor vehicle registration, it originally said the town may notify the Bureau of Motor Vehicles to cancel
Yeah.
registration. After looking at the notice of dishonor letter, it actually says suspend the registration and confiscate the license plate, so I just inserted the same terminology
Sure.
for consistency. Anything else from the run? Let me see, I have comments from Elaine going back a couple of months. See if I covered. All right, Elaine. Not in this neatly organized file. I still sitting on my computer. All right. I'll make these changes, and then I'll route it to Elaine, see if she's got any further thoughts, and after that, shoot it off to
Sure.
town clerk. All right, moving on. Okay. Oh, and I did take out that name of that agency, that resubmit
Oh,
agency.
okay.
Yeah. On this staff research policy,
This is not any of what you've given me.
Well, that's the one I was supposed to have done for last time and didn't get it done.
I have it.
I don't think I printed out the current one of that. Oh, that is, you changed the name from staff research to request for public information.
Yes, we did. Surprise.
So,
I apologize.
I want to hear the song.
Well, I read through the Maine.gov information on this Maine's Freedom of Access Act, and I think this is a better title than what we had. They were, I talked to the town clerk about this a while ago, and there were a few things that she pointed out that they wanted to include in here. Now, the fee schedule that we have, that's the current one that the town uses?
That's what's in there, the policy that they gave us.
Okay. According to the State of Maine website, fees aren't required, but they know that a lot of municipalities charge for their time and paper for copying. So it's permissible, but not required by state law. One of the comments from the town clerk was that we wanted to make sure that we made it clear in the town policy is that the town will give no advice, no interpretation, and no reformatting of the records information. they are obligated by law to provide a copy of the public record. But that's it. Here's the copy. We're not changing it in any fashion, shape, form, nothing. We're not telling you any opinion about it. This is what you asked for. This is what you get.
I think we should put that in the third paragraph there, where the public shall have the right to inspect and copy any public record. What do you think would be a logical place?
Somewhere in there.
Like right after the first
Because
sentence?
that sentence in the third paragraph that says the cost of copying a public record shall be paid by the requester. Then on the next page, we talk about the cost, the fees that people will be charged.
Yeah.
You have to take out this cash too.
Where are you?
Around the fee thing, it says that the requester will be required to make a cash deposit, then it says checks and cash are acceptable, just say deposit of either cash or check or something.
Where are you?
Right there.
All right, let's focus on one thing.
I was looking at the fee thing.
Let's start in the beginning.
Yeah.
We were talking fees.
I know. Under the second paragraph, how about if we said the purpose of this policy is to establish uniform and equitable guidelines for the public to obtain public records? Because the goal is not for them to request, it's to obtain the record.
All right, say it again.
The purpose of this policy is to, you can set forth or establish uniform and equitable guidelines as opposed to system.
Yep.
We don't need members of. It's for the public to obtain public records. And I'm wondering if we should put public records in quotation, because as we get further into this, and you probably noticed it on the main website, there are some things that are considered an exception to public records, things that are confidential. So not everything on file in this town or in the state is a public record. Some of them may be confidential records. We can think about that when we get to the end.
No, that's fine, I don't like the public being able to have confidential information.
They don't. That's why she wants to make sure you have public records. She's saying that you don't have access to the confidential stuff.
Is a list that is there's an extensive list online. I wrote down part of them, but basically what it comes down to is, and I wanted to put in a little section on this and what the exceptions are. It says it includes an individual's health care and financial records, any legally privileged documents, security plans, personal information of crime victims. It also specifically mentioned personal and financial information of liquor licensees.
No, this is stuff they're not allowed to have.
That's right.
Okay.
Really?
None of this that I just mentioned is considered public record. It is confidential.
Right.
They have a program in the state for people that have been victims of crimes, victims of domestic abuse. And if they're enrolled in that program, their name and address cannot be added to any public record list. So I think if we refer to the section and chapter, then if people want to be certain of what they're asking for is not on that list, they can go in and look at the entire list. But I thought it would be at least useful to mention some of them, or just, maybe we don't even want to give that shorter list. Maybe we just want to say that there is information out there that's considered exempt,
Yeah.
and it's because it's confidential and personal.
Right.
I'd
Once you start
recommend
putting
that.
things, if it changes,
Yeah. Or you say at the bottom, see this statute for a complete list.
yep.
Or do you not want to list even these 4 items?
Well, if you list the 4 items, if one of them gets removed from the list, we'll have to keep an eye on that to make sure that,
Right, this way you don't have to.
if you just refer to the section,
Okay.
I think you're better off. Let the people do their own homework.
Okay.
So you want like something,
And-
you want something in this paragraph says something like, there are
Where?
records in the second paragraph?
That's the purpose of the policy.
Do you want something in there that says there are records that are not public records?
Yeah, maybe on paragraph 3 on the first page, it says the public shall have the right. I would take out shall have and just say the public has. Wrong tense. And the other thing that doesn't read well to me, on the second line where it says hours of the custodian or location of such record, can we just end the sentence at hours of the custodian? What's the location? Does that mean
I think you're right.
something? Or is there a word or two missing? I know this is the way we got the policy, this isn't anything you added to it, but every time I read it, it comes up.
Well, if somebody
Short.
came into the town hall and asked for something they needed to get at the county seat or something, but then they would just be redirected, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So
that's
it's-
kind of silly.
I mean, what's important is it's regular business hours of the custodian of the record.
So you want to put a period after custodian, right?
Well, custodian of the record, take out or location of such. Regular business hours of the custodian. Yeah, just period, take out or location of such record. That last sentence, the cost of copying and public record.
Yeah. I don't understand that either.
I think it should be
Any,
A.
or A.
public record.
Yeah.
And I think you could also take out to comply with this section. If it just said the cost of copying a public record shall be paid by the requester. And would you agree that then the 4th paragraph would be reference to this exemption?
You wouldn't want to put that up in the second
Yeah, I
paragraph?
like it better high up because it is important. I mean, this is directions on how to go about doing it.
Yep.
And
All right, so
that's
make
an important part
this the
of,
3rd paragraph. Certain types of information are exempt from the Freedom of Access Act.
yeah, and you can attach that to the second paragraph because you shouldn't have just one sentence. So you can stick it in there.
Add it to the second paragraph.
All right, so what do you want to read?
See if this makes sense. Certain types of information are exempt from the Freedom of Access Act and therefore not considered a public record.
And then
Then we could
say
say
C,
the types include,
nope, you don't want to list them because then if the
Yeah.
state changes them, just put to check or to ensure you're asking for the right stuff, go to,
certain types of personal and legally confidential. There must be a couple of words in this document I could take out. That I could purge. Copy.
Plagiarizing.
That's the word.
Plagiarizing.
I am. I'm trying to find a couple of words here to plagiarize, yep. Because if it works for the state, it works for the town. Statutory exceptions. Ooh, statutory.
There you go.
You like that word? Statutory exceptions. Says there are over 300 statutory exceptions to the Freedom of Access Act.
I'm going to steal that.
Yeah, I was
Right.
just thinking that's.
There are over 300 items that are
Yep.
considered statutory exceptions, and you can find them here.
300 statutory exceptions to the Act. Then it says specifically provides individuals' healthcare information, is
Yeah, but-
confidential.
We don't want to get that detailed.
Okay.
Just say C 22 MRSA
Yeah,
for
for
the
the complete
list.
list.
Yep.
So there are over 300 statutory exemptions from the Freedom of Access Act.
Exceptions rather than exemptions.
Exceptions, thank you.
These exceptions are just C, in quote, the statute.
And what's the statute? 22?
22. Can you read the small print?
Okay.
Okay. For a complete list. Why do the state laws have these numbers to start with? And then it says M, and it gives you the letters.
How many
It's
of them?
different, no, I mean, why is it set up that way, do you know? I mean, it's
They
different in other states.
Yeah. Just the way to do it.
There are over 300 exceptions from the FOAA. See 22 MRSA Section 1711-C in parentheses 2.
The specifics.
Okay.
Specific list?
The details.
Either way, pick one.
I can spell details.
We all have our specialties. Deb's is grammar.
It's definitely not spelling.
Okay, and then, are we through with that paragraph?
Number 2 and number 3?
Yeah.
Yep.
Then in the next paragraph where it says, if the request for information requires research of town records by staff, I always just say requires research by the town. Yeah.
Yeah. I was just waiting for you guys to get done discussing it so I could write it down. You leaving the then in?
We can, for the moment, anyway. I'm sure there's a better way of phrasing it, but... Now, notice in this section, the first item A talks about all requests in writing to the office manager. And then if you go down to the next section, it talks about final written decisions relating to employee discipline, the request made in writing to an appropriate chairperson. But I think
That's
they're
for
two
my-
different things.
Yeah, it is. That's for the disciplinary action one.
They are different.
Yes.
However, in talking with the office manager, I received a copy of the form that everybody is supposed to submit that details exactly what kind of information they want. They all go through the town clerk, the office manager.
Well, when we did the personnel policy, wasn't it the town clerk or the office manager that was the one that kept everything anyway? I mean, didn't
Right, you
everybody-
would not want all requests to come to a chairman like me, and the town clerk doesn't know about it, and consequently, perhaps, I don't tell the Board of Selectmen about it either. You know, I think everything has to channel through. The first step is in the door to the office manager. And then if it needs to go to me or some other chairman, then fine, that's step 2.
But let's say Steve swore on TV, and you had to write him up. Would your writing up and your little thing doesn't it end up with Jennifer anyway?
Why me?
Because you're more apt to do it than I am.
Oh, yeah.
Well, this is a request for information.
Right, but say somebody watches it and gets really upset that he swore, they went to Jennifer, she would have a copy of whatever it is that he did. When we were doing personnel policy and trying to figure out who was like the head of the transfer station or what.
That's right, when we had
somebody
the
did.
organization
sit down.
chart.
No, I did. I was trying really hard not to.
She wants to dump. It's the transfer
I
station.
still call it the dump.
No, it's not a dump.
Anyway, didn't everything we ended up having, even from the road commissioners and stuff, everything he did ended up going and filing through to Jennifer or the office manager.
And it started
anyway.
with her.
So are you saying that this should go to her too? The office manager? The final decision thing?
Isn't she the one that locks up the personnel files?
Yes.
And
Yes.
Yeah, right, so
Yeah.
it all ends up
Yeah.
with her anyway.
So I think that's the point she was about to make. Don't you think it should go there as
Yeah,
well?
I don't think that this is appropriate, that the request go to the chairman of the committee
Yeah.
first. In fact, I think I need to ask Jennifer if this in fact happens. Or is this another piece that's obsolete?
Right.
I also notice in this section, the check for the amount of $50 payable to the town of Acton isn't in there. And I also noticed we're missing quotation mark. I hate that.
You hate quotation marks?
I hate not ending them.
I think when somebody hit the colon, they meant to hit the quotation mark.
I think you're right.
Why don't I find out if this last section here is even what they do today?
Okay.
Well, if you think it should go to the office manager, we can just, I mean, everything else is pretty much the same as the paragraph up above.
Right, the one exception, and
Is the $50 check payable to the town of Acton?
That's an omission.
now if you just want to come in and view records, according to the state, they can't charge you for that.
So if you come in and take notes.
And the other thing I was going to, in connection with that, where it says on page 2, copying town records, 25 cents per page, I think it should be photocopying, because if you come in and view the records, and you want to sit there,
Yeah.
copy it down, or make notes, they don't charge you for that. And I'll find it in the state law here where it talks about that.
All right, so you're going to check with Jennifer about this?
And that whole section. The one thing it does say in the state law is that you have to respond within 5 days if you're rejecting the request in part or in total. Otherwise, under C, where it talks about requests being acted upon within a reasonable period of time,
Yep.
depending on how much research is required and who's available
Right.
when it will get done, to say that the initial response may be, we think this is going to take X amount of time and X number of people to do it, that's the response to the request. That's the first response.
Yeah.
So we don't want people to think that within 5 days you will get what you asked for, because it just may not be feasible.
Right, what if she's on vacation?
Yeah, or it
She's
just
not even going to get the request.
involves records that are too old.
Mhm.
So I think we should add something in there that says that we will respond within 5 days if the request is going to be rejected in total or partially rejected.
Is that 5 days after she gets the request? Because
And it's always
what if she-
5 days from receipt of the request by the town hall. That's when the dates start.
But what if she's on vacation?
There's someone else acting as the office manager then.
There has to be.
And we don't shut the town hall down when, well, probably do, but
I was going to say, don't we do it to the...
I know, they've got a new rookie in training now, probationary, or another warm body, let's
you
say.
want to add a D?
Looking for the time frame.
She just dared
Are
me.
you talking about me?
She's bet me $10. $10 bet.
See.
It says, agencies must respond in writing within 5 working days only if the request is denied in whole or in part.
Agencies must...
Yeah, well, do we want to include state policy in our town policy? I mean, if it's already the state policy, I refer back to the list of
Right.
statutory exceptions.
Not everybody has a staff the size the governor has in order, in that department, in order to answer any of these requests. This is a, a two-person town.
Well, that's why it says within a reasonable period of time.
Yeah, but the state is dictating by law you have to answer within 5 days if you're going to reject them.
Well, if you read the request, it at least means you've looked it over. And if you look at it and say, no, I can't give out the information that they want,
Yeah.
then don't hang on to it for a week or two.
Well, the 5-day thing is only if you're going to not comply with the request, right?
That's right. If you,
So I think the C here is the ones that they're going to execute.
yeah, that they're gonna do the research on.
Yeah.
Yeah, why don't we just leave it at 5 days? All right, then this whole section here, there's one big question mark.
It's only a big run-on sentence if you look at the grammar.
That first sentence on the second page,
Mhm.
stall time, is that such a word, or is that a typo, or what is that? Never heard of that. Have you heard of it? If any request for information involves stall time to research, we mean extensive time? I've just not heard that term.
No.
Oh, staff time, it should be.
Oh.
But they'll take some staff time.
Yeah.
I mean, who else is going to research it?
Inconvenience to the daily activities.
Okay. So do we agree the copying should be photocopying?
Yep.
I don't know why town records is capitalized, do you?
But office manager wasn't.
Well, that's a position, so that should be,
I know, it should be, yeah.
these are my notes.
All right, we'll make office manager capital. See, it's that easy.
Steve didn't have it.
Steve didn't.
In two places?
Okay.
Oh, no, this last paragraph is up for question anyway. Hourly rate shall be charged to the requester instead of billed. Well, the reason I'm thinking charge, because when you say it's billed, it sounds like you're going to get an invoice.
Okay.
But no, you're going to put up your $50 deposit,
Right.
and you'll only get an invoice if it exceeds that. I'm guessing.
I like the fact that the town makes a profit on it.
You like that?
Yeah.
Well, no, not necessarily.
Because it's
I-
time she's doing office work.
I added another couple words further down. The hourly rate is figured. How about determined? And then someplace, and maybe this is the place to add a sentence that says, "The town will not provide advice, interpretation, or reformatting of the requested public records." Period.
How about up there in that paragraph?
In the first paragraph on this page.
There's really no place to put it in that paragraph, that's all one sentence.
Well, we can just, this is the next draft, we can just stick it in there, and we can move it around at the end of that. The town will not provide advice.
Cannot. Not that they won't, they can't, by law, right? Doesn't it say, didn't you get that out of your MMA thing?
No, I got that straight from Jennifer.
I'll go with will. Not provide.
Because we want to make sure it's done consistently. You don't want to do it for one person and not do it on some other request.
Right.
So if you say you, well, let me think that back. The town cannot or will
Nope, stay
not
will not, that's fine.
provide advice, interpretation, advice, comment, interpretation, or reformatting of the requested public records.
The reformatting thing, that's into some other form.
Right, and so that raises the question as to what
Right.
this sentence means up here. I'm thinking that what Jennifer meant is that if we had given you something that wasn't terribly legible, or it was handwritten instead of typewritten, would we retype it?
Nope.
So that it could be more clearly understood?
Well, see, I read that, it says electronic data compilations into some other form that you won't convert it from Word to Excel. But see, I'm a geek, so that's the way I naturally would have.
What if there were a whole bunch of things that they wanted you to put on the little mini disc things there?
To download something?
Yeah. Would that be,
I don't think that that's another form. But that.
What does this mean when it says translate? Mechanical?
Well, the way I was reading that is that they were asking you to scan the document and give it to them in in Word format or something. But again, that's the geek in me showing.
That's okay, we have to have one on every committee.
That's interesting, that's not even addressed here. If, somebody wanted all the voters on their flash drive,
I want them in alphabetical order and not in street order.
Yeah.
No.
but if you handed Jennifer your flash drive, would she download all that information for you? Electronic really isn't properly addressed here, I don't think.
I think if you go back to the concept of this whole policy, it said, if you want a copy of what we have, we will give it to you in the form that we have it.
Right.
We will make no changes to it.
so if it's handwritten and illegible and you go to type it and you don't see what this other person sees, he's going to say, or what the person actually wrote, he's going to say you changed it. It's like trying to listen to some songs on the radio. Everybody has different words to them, but they all think they're right.
Mine are right.
It's your radio.
We had an argument on the way down here, as a matter of fact.
Oh, good. Family Feud.
Just on record, I think your words are right. Make much more sense than mine.
You make much more sense. I don't know if they're right, but they make much more sense.
Staff time to research, investigate. What if we took out translate mechanical or electronic data compilations? And just left it that we're not reformatting?
I think that's perfectly okay.
Yeah.
Because it's obviously
Are we
meaningless.
complicating things by,
I think because we're having this discussion, that phrase is meaningless. Because, we're three fairly bright people and we can't figure out what it means.
some geek put it in there,
That's right.
and we'll need a geek lawyer to interpret it?
Research, investigate, or copy?
Yeah.
Research, investigate.
All in
Not
favor?
translating.
All in favor?
All in favor.
Aye. Here's one of them.
Gone. So let it be written. So let it be done.
Make it so.
Meant to tell you, somebody made an app for rock, paper, scissors, lizard, spark.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What's the application for?
WebOS devices.
And what are they?
It's a tablet computer. Oh, what is rock, paper, scissors, lizard, spark?
No, the other,
WebOS?
that, what is that?
That's an operating system that's proprietary to, I think it's proprietary to HP.
Oh, then I don't need to know about
You
it.
don't need to know that. 'Cause I think I'm the only person who has one.
And people like you.
I want to see that one.
I was gonna get it, but it's $1.50 or something. You're familiar with rock, paper, scissors, lizard, spark?
Yes,
Okay.
I'm that old. I do,
No,
I
no,
do.
no. Rock, paper, scissors, lizard, Spock.
Oh, lizard Spock? No.
Well, the Big Bang Theory. Have you ever seen that? TV
No,
show.
I've seen the previews of that, and I just can't even stand to watch the
Oh,
previews.
it's
of that.
funnier
It's a
than it
riot.
looks.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's funnier than it looks.
Well, one of the guys was tired of rock, paper, scissors, so he went and invented a game, rock, paper, scissors, lizard, Spock.
All right, I'm up with rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah.
It ends there.
So there's a whole hierarchy, the rock crushes the lizard or something,
The lizard bites somebody or something.
and Spock always wins or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But, so somebody wrote an application for the WebOS that plays rock, paper, scissors, lizard, Spock with you.
Productive work,
Yeah.
yeah,
Or a buck and a half.
for the employees' work time.
Yeah.
Rather than talk to me at dinner, that's what we do, watch The Big Bang Theory.
How do we get on that subject?
I'm back there. If any request for information involves staff
Staff.
to research, investigate, or copy information which is inconvenient to the daily activities of said staff, which is inconvenient.
I like which is inconvenient better.
Yeah, mine said which is not and. You take it out and.
Yep.
Okay, so,
Daily staff activities.
daily stall.
And them too.
Well, maybe this was written when they were using horses and they had the,
Maybe.
Perhaps this sentence about the town not providing advice, interpretation, or reformatting should start the paragraph.
Yeah.
That comes under confidential information, not public record. Right?
is that statutory exception?
Personally. Okay. Requester will be required to make a cash deposit.
No.
Tory. I didn't think that was right. I left out a letter. Statutory.
Because over here, it says a check in the amount of $50, and then under a cash deposit, it says cash and checks are acceptable. Pick one.
Doesn't $50 seem high?
No, not with the salary they're making nowadays.
Okay, so the requester is required to make a deposit.
Do they do estimates on these?
They do, if, yeah,
Because
she's talking about
Yeah.
up here. So if their estimate comes up with more than $50, they're going to come back to you
Yeah.
before they provide you the information, or before they do the work.
I was looking at the next
The
paragraph.
sentence, yeah.
If it's lower,
Yeah, if the actual bill is lower than the $50 deposit, my notes say the town will refund the difference to the requester. Because that
That's-
sentence made no sense to me.
yeah.
Maybe it's the actual charges. Or do you prefer the word bill?
Nope, charges.
If the actual charges are lower than the $50 deposit.
Well, it's only one charge, right?
Yeah.
Right. Is lower than. In fact, we don't have to put in $50 there again. It says 50 just above it. We can just say is lower than the deposit. The town will refund the difference to the requester. But this,
Within a reasonable amount of time, or does it come back with the information? You're gonna say something like that? Maybe they don't want to use up all the steps, or their checks? I mean, seriously, that could be
Who
a big
doesn't-
drain on the budget. Check,
what, issuing balance due checks?
yeah, because if you get, 50 people coming in, the price of checks is very high. If you get a lot of these requests and they have to refund the money every time, they're gonna go through a lot of checks.
What does that
If
have to
they
do with
don't
the
give
period
them-
of time?
I was making a joke about within a reasonable
Oh,
period
okay.
of time. But seriously, are you going to give them the refund with the information? They're gonna mail it out, the refund, that's gonna be more postage down there?
Why don't they give it to them with the information?
In cash?
Will they give them cash?
I don't know.
I don't know that they would want to.
I'd want to do a check.
That's
Well,
gonna
the other
take
thing is,
time.
you could have a situation where the town treasurer isn't here 5 days a week. So whoever's putting together the information is going to have to get the refund check made up. Well, they can do that, little day or two of planning.
I was just thinking, though, that could be a big expense to the town if you get enough of these.
You don't think,
Do you?
my checks are free.
Yeah, but business checks aren't usually.
Business checks aren't free.
Do you have any idea of the volume of these requests?
No.
I'd be surprised if anyone ever asked for anything other than some certain people.
I think what has happened on a few occasions is that somebody will come in with basically a rush request, whether it's information for a meeting that's coming up, or they want special information for some ordinance that's pending, or a liquor license, or you name it, an election, and we want as much information as we can get about who's running for office, or any kind of reasons, and they want it now, like today,
Too bad.
and they have no conception as to what it's going to take to
Yeah.
get this information. So I think the thought is that by trying to manage people's expectations a little bit, let them know that there is a process, we need a written request. Now, the state law doesn't require a written request, but it does go on to say that most municipalities do ask for it as a tracking mechanism. And you want to know who requested the information and who you turned it over to.
You know how a hotel or something will take your credit card number in case you...
Yeah, they hold it.
Hold
Or
it.
they put a hold on.
Can we get her to do that? Could
No,
would that
because
be
if-
an option?
If you use a credit card here, or a debit card, there's a fee assessed
Oh,
by the
you gotta
card,
pay for it.
by the Visa or MasterCard, whoever they are. So even if you had the ability, as hotels do, to put a hold on somebody's card for X amount of money, there's probably a service fee involved from Visa or MasterCard, Discover.
Right, but that
to
would
us
go
for doing
into
it.
our policy there that we did earlier about bank fees.
What if you don't have a credit card?
No, I just want to include
Oh,
that.
okay.
I
As
don't
an
want that to
option.
be our only option, I just want to include that. And then just make a note that says, you will be charged the regular service fee, see, policy number, whatever. I just ordered checks for work, so I know how much they're aggravating me. They went up $8 since last year.
Really?
Yes.
No, but they're charging for it. It's 20 cents extra a check. They have these new ones that you can't copy somebody's handwriting or forge the back or something like this. And they wanted 20 cents a check extra. I mean, I had to go out of the way to order regular checks.
Really?
Yeah. So,
Find another bank.
it's an Intuit QuickBooks is where I got the checks from, but they were business checks, so.
All right, I'll ask if credit cards are acceptable. And when is balance returned?
All in flashing.
Yes.
All right, if the actual charge is only $50. Beyond that. Okay, this next paragraph,
I think we should
I would
fill
just
that out.
take it.
Yeah, no kidding.
All hands, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes, done. Gone.
Bunch of blah, that is.
The only other comment.
No, no, not that one, this one.
I know.
Oh, okay.
Just had to cross that part out there.
Oh,
I did the right one. The only other comment I remember Jennifer making was that if a requester is dissatisfied with
take it to Shapley.
dissatisfaction issues may be addressed to the Board of Selectmen.
Change that bottom paragraph then. Any citizen dissatisfied? They already know that, don't
You
they?
don't have to be a citizen.
No, I didn't say citizen of Acton.
You don't have to be a citizen.
You
Oh,
don't.
that's true. Okay, true.
You just have to be a human being. Think we need to put that in there?
Well, if she brought it up, it must be, she must get a lot of those.
What do you mean it's gonna take a month?
Any complaints to the rear?
Yeah, I don't know where this paragraph came from. I don't understand that it
Actually, that was,
has
I
anything to do,
think it was
It
the
was.
first paragraph in this, wasn't it?
but I don't see that it has any relevance
No, it doesn't.
to obtaining copies of public records.
Want
I
me to
mean,
try to type those?
it started out as one of these documents that it looked like somebody just had to get some words down on paper. And they did.
So do you want to put something in or not? About the dissatisfaction? Yes. I will make these changes.
You know, I'm looking at some of the other ones we did in the past, and it doesn't look like we put this word policy in on any of them.
Oh, I don't think so.
None of them have it,
No.
no.
Gone. It's that easy.
And then Jennifer will go in and change the font or
Right.
whatever, as she usually does, which is fine.
She can add the selectmen's names.
Yes.